Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls, to the first decan of Virgo. And the card that is the principal card of discussion for this decan is the Eight of Pentacles, here featured in Tarot of Echoes and the Victorian Fairy Tarot. I have a lot of different cards on the table today. So one of the things I want to do is talk about all of the solar decans of which this is one, as well as other cards that are connected to Tiferet and how that might be important to your tarot study. We also have several Knights of Pentacles, and I want to go over all of the decans of Virgo. But before we do that, I want to say welcome. Thank you for being here. And just a reminder of where we have come from. So the previous decan, the last decan of Leo, is the Seven of Wands. One that gave me a little bit of pause the last few weeks, wondering what it was, because in each of these decans, and when I'm doing a decan walk, I'm considering how this is manifesting in my life and what I can learn from the lesson of the present decan. My sun sign is in Leo. I do have quite a bit of fire in my chart, and so I am comfortable with this element. And that might be something that you want to reflect upon too, is how do I respond to the major elements of this decan, and how is that influencing my activities, my decisions, and so forth. And Seven of Wands is quite a challenging card. It has a lot of different layers of reflection, which I talked about in the last episode, about creating centeredness through the power, really, of this card. Seven of Wands is a tower decan. And so we move from Mars to the Sun, from Geburah to Tiferet, from tower to sun. And I think that is something important to think about. Something has been shaken up. Something has been stirred. The status quo is shifting. And there is a blessing on the other side. It may not appear as we expect, but I think we need to look and find each of the gifts in the solar decans, because the previous decan in all cases has been a tower decan where something has shifted. And though we may have been feeling that shift for a certain amount of time, not just the 10 days of that decan, we often find ourselves in a place of, the universe presents in unexpected ways. So I want to share something with you and have you see if there is anything in your personal life, in your community, that you can connect to this shift of energy from Leo 3 to Virgo 1, from Seven of Wands to Eight of Pentacles. I live in a mill community, and particularly in the neighborhood where I live, there are a lot of people who are employed by the mill. And there was an announcement yesterday or the day before that the mill is closing, putting at least 300 people out of work. And this is in some cases, in my neighborhood, even, the mill employs both parents. And so this is going to create a major change for families and have ripple effects out in the community. Now, when I think about the mill in general, my partner is on extended leave from there, but I have listened to stories. I know about the energy of the place. It makes me look at the Seven of Wands in a different way. And especially when I look at the Seven of Wands in terms of the tower, that this business has been destined really to shift, to change for some time. It's not the first mill in British Columbia that is closed recently. So what are all these people going to do? And how are they going to respond to the Eight of Pentacles? And will they be able to find the gift of the Eight of Pentacles? So that's just one example, but I encourage you to think of this shift from Tower to Sun, from life-changing energy to the contentment, to the beauty of the central sephira of the tree of life. What I have for you on the table here are all the cards that are connected to Tiferet, to the sun. We have 5 solar decans. We have already looked at the 3 of Wands. This deck that I'm showing you here is the Anna K. Tarot, the self-published version, which is still available through her website. 3 of Wands. And then in the end of Gemini, we have the 10 of Swords. And here we are at the 8 of Pentacles in Virgo. And then 6 of Cups in Scorpio, middle decan of Scorpio. And finally, the 4 of Pentacles, which is the 3rd decan of Capricorn. Also associated with Tiferet are all of the 6s. So I can pull out the 6 of Cups again. And in this way, 6 of Cups has a double solar energy. We have 6 of Wands, which was part of the Leo story, middle decan of Leo. 6 of Pentacles, Taurus, so these are all fixed signs, and Aquarius. This is a very interesting decan to study, 6 of Swords. And so becoming familiar with all of the solar decans, all of the number that is associated with the sun, this can really help in your decan walk and your study of the tarot to weave together more lines of energy and just start to bring in more automatically, if you will. Oh yes, this is all of these cards. Many of these cards are connected to the sun. And so how might this luminary be telling a story a little differently in your reading with so many solar cards? And of course, also connected to the sun, we have not only the 6 of Wands, but the 7 and the 8 of Wands being the Leo cards. There is only one astrological sign, one zodiacal sign that is connected to the sun, and that is Leo. Virgo is represented by the Hermit in the tarot. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which is the Magician. And interestingly, this is already the 2nd zodiacal sign ruled by Mercury that we are looking at. So the energy of Gemini and Virgo, both mutable signs, are ruled by a planet that is very mutable, moves very quickly, and one that we are very familiar with in its activity, astrologically speaking. In the Anna K Tarot, the Hermit looks from the entrance of a cave out and beyond. The light is within. In the Victorian Fairy Tarot, very similar. The Fae is within the tree. I believe they are reading and looking out. We see an owl, also representing this idea of wisdom that we see in the tarot. And one of the things I want to look at here is this connection between the Magician and the Hermit. And I think the line that we can really connect here is one of wisdom, developing a higher frequency of our mental powers. Now, the journey of the Hermit often represents an inward time, inward discovery, inward reflection. That could represent anything from attendance at a retreat to a sabbatical, or simply a time where you make space for inward reflection, self-study, in yogic terms, svadhyaya. And so in Virgo season, we are looking at 8 of Pentacles ruled by the Sun, 9 of Pentacles ruled by Venus, and 10 of Pentacles ruled by the sign's planet, Mercury. So we have a double Mercury decan in the final decan of Virgo. Well, the 8 of Pentacles is a solar decan. It is also a number 8, connecting us to Hod and the planet of Mercury, and hence the magician. And so this sign being ruled by Mercury, the magician has an influence both in this first decan as well as strongly in the third. And so in the Eight of Pentacles, we're looking at a Sun, Mercury, Mercury decan, which to me feels rather supercharged for what we're looking at in most Eight of Pentacles cards, which after the Tower experience feels a bit like an exhale, a coming home, a settling down, a time of focus. It feels rather calm. I wonder if Anna Torian was inspired by the Eight of Pentacles in the Victorian Fairy Tarot. This version that you're looking at is the French version. I believe it was published in 2014. The connection to music and musical instruments is really beautiful in this card, in that the energy of air, the element of air, the beauty of music can take us into mesmerizing places. It can heal the heart being connected to the sun and Tiferet, but the element of air and music, I can feel that connection to Mercury very, very much. It also kind of draws me a lot into the Libra energy, which we'll get to in the next sign. But this card has always meant a lot to me, and I like this decan in that with the element of Earth. So I was looking at planetary energy being Mercury, Mercury, Sun. But if we're looking at the elements here, this is 8 Pentacles. And when we move into the 8s, the 9s, and the 10s, there are a lot of symbols, a lot of objects on the table. And with the element of earth, the element of coins and pentacles, this becomes rather dense and rather heavy. We are low on the tree of life. And yet we have come into a Sephirah that balances and harmonizes the energy of Netzach with the wisdom or the potential wisdom of Hod. And so I find when I land here in the Eight of Pentacles, I feel the beauty of the earth married with the wisdom of Mercury and Hod. Many of you will be familiar with the discussion of apprentice versus master in this card. And I think it's important to remember, like the symbol of the 8, the symbol of affinity, which we see above the magician's head in most decks, is one of a constant flow of energy, right? This is one of ever-changing energy. The master is the apprentice is the master. And this card is one that gives me not just comfort, but it encourages me to take my craft to a whole other level, to take my project, my study to a whole other level. And when I think about this in terms of where we are and what's been going on in my life and certain tower moments that have been presenting and how I am going to respond to this with the Eight of Pentacles, because I want to embody the energy of each decan as it presents. And I'm considering how I can set up my sewing room as the weather transitions. Right now, my sewing room is set up in the garage, which I can't be in the winter. It's just too cold in here. I'm actually recording in the garage right now as we speak. I've moved my tarot room into here. It's beautiful. I can have the door open, and I love it. And these two activities, studying, working with you, clients, making videos, reading the tarot, is a part of my heart. It's a part of my Eight of Pentacles story. It is my sun, as is the craft of sewing, and something that I don't want to put away until the weather warms next May. And so while this may involve a whole lot of room shifting and moving of furniture and so forth, I think it's finally time to claim my Eight of Pentacles, to create this space of happiness, this space of contentment, this space that I can come back and land in. One of the things I wanted to say when reflecting on this idea of apprentice and master is how the master feels when the apprentice's skill exceeds the master. And I don't know why that point came to my mind, but I just wanted to share that with you. With the influence of the magician, the idea of tools, wands, cup, sword, coin, becomes very practical in this earth sign. It is a mutable sign. In mutable signs, we want to invoke change. And many of you will know that Virgo is often associated with details. And it's in the details, it's in the techniques, it's in the focus that we give our project and what we have ahead of us that we will find beauty in that refinement and success and peace in that refinement. So, what is in your toolbox? What are you ready to dust off and not put away for the season, but to bring forward into a room or a space that perhaps it wasn't given before? If you take out your tree of life, there's something that I like to do when I'm reflecting on where I am in the tarot. This is the path of the Hermit, moving from Hesed to Tiferet. So the Hermit moves to the heart space. We are moving to the heart space from the Tower to the Sun. So in this decan, we are being encouraged to find something heartfelt, to find and create an Eden of sorts. Maybe this is a time where we actually create that, or it is something that we dedicate the 10 days of the first decan of Virgo to. We also move from Mars to Mercury, in that we're moving from a Tower decan to the Eight of Pentacles. And so I want to look at this shape of or maybe even this triangle here, to see what's going on. And what I've been doing in my study of the Tree of Life in my Saturday discussion is building readings upon or using the Tree of Life to put a reading upon the section of the tree that I have been studying and talking about and reflecting on. And so there might be some sort of reading that you could create based on the path of the Hermit. And so interesting that the path of the Hermit moves into the path of the Devil. So we move from mutable earth to fixed earth in this line here. Tower to, this is kind of an indirect association, but it's all connected. And so having the Tree of Life and an awareness of the paths and the connection of the planets, I find this only deepens my understanding of the present decan. In this decan, we are in the middle decan, perhaps the strongest one, of the Knight of Pentacles. This is Tarot of Echoes, Lily White Tarot. This is the Witch Sister Tarot by Julia Jeffrey. And this is the Victorian Fairy Tarot. The Knight of Pentacles, you see the wheat, the autumn harvest, standing upon the back of a great tortoise. There is a dual nature of this court card, a tremendous amount of wisdom. I almost feel like here there's a craft of horticulture that is being supported. Love the way this card is drawn, how the cape comes around the front. And so the wisdom that comes through the Sephra of Hod, the energy of the Hermit, is landed and grounded in the element of earth, the element of this suit. And this combination seems to create a very sensual experience. And I was looking at the lily white after I signed off last time and kind of wished I had discussed this. There's just something here about the snake, the wisdom of the snake, and the way that the snake represents, signals change in our life, the changing of energy, the way that often it is drawn as an Ouroboros. Sometimes it takes on the energy of a figure eight, and here you see the snake is a part of, all wrapped around this Knight of Earth. Very, very sensual. And then I was looking at this one. This is the Witch Sister. And in the Witch Sister Tarot, the court card knights, they are the witches. This is Witch of Stones. And we have the snake again. And all of this shifting energy. And I really like this card because it reminds me of the Magician. And the way that the Magician is the creator, the creatrix of their own reality. There are a couple other connections I would like to weave in here to help bring encouragement to the possibilities of this decan. As I said, the path of the Hermit takes us from Hesed to Tiferet. But I'm looking at this whole path, the path from 4 to 8. And when I am working in Hesed, this first place of manifestation, there are so many associations with the number 4, but one of them is the creation of sacred space. So my question is, what if the 8, and in particular the 8 of Pentacles, is an amplified sacred space? What if the 8 of Pentacles is an opportunity for you to do exactly that, to commit to the creation of your space, your reality, and your place of beauty, a place where the sun truly represents your heart and makes you feel happy, that you feel you have and can wield your tools and your craft in such a way that brings a deeper understanding of your purpose. And so I'm curious, where are you in this process from shift to acknowledging the blessing of this decan? I look forward to your feedback. Namaste.